Chapter 12, Legacy. Naruto 2 days later. He was lying on his head, and he could hear the clock ticking. It was silence. Naruto had his eyes open and just listening to the clock ticking. It was 9 a.m., and Naruto felt lonely. His Gigi had brought him the books back. The new books his Tojiji had brought him the last time were all about Uzumaki clan. Much to his surprise and Gigi's surprise. He had started reading the first book. There were 3 books overall, and Naruto had done nothing but read the books about his clan. He had learned that his clan came from Uzushiogakure, the land of whirlpools. Naruto was sure that if his homeland still existed, he would have been welcomed there as an Uzumaki. People wouldn't look at him and call him a demon, because they couldn't see the difference between the water and the glass holding the water. Naruto thought if there were other Uzumaki out there, he was sure he wasn't the last one left in the world. He didn't know, but one thing he noticed from the books his Tojiji gave him is that none of them mentioned why his clan was destroyed. Were they bad people? Naruto asked himself as the clock was still ticking. Kurama, do you know anything about what kind of people my clan was? Naruto asked, staring at the roof. His little hands behind his head. I don't know exactly what kind of people they were. Your mother and Mito Uzumaki were the only Uzumaki I knew, but from my knowledge, they weren't bad people, the opposite. They were known as good people who wanted peace, but that is a foolish thing to want in a world that only wants more power, Kurama replied with a growl at the end. Naruto listened to his reply and wondered if Tojiji knew anything. He wished to know how his clan was and how their homeland looked like. It had been 2 days since he unlocked his chakra, and since he couldn't do physical training yet. He had tried to do level I Fuinjutsu. His Gigi gave him wooden kunai or shurikens to seal in scrolls instead of sharp ones. A smile spread on Naruto's face when he remembered it yesterday. Naruto had a blank scroll in front of him. He was sitting in a chair close to a desk. He had a brush and glass filled with black color. The book about Fuinjutsu of level I was on the edge of the desk closed. Naruto took a deep breath and picked up the brush, and he slowly started drawing the seal needed to seal a kunai, as he kept drawing slowly. He wanted to make sure he was doing it right. After around 30 minutes of drawing, he finished. Sweat was running down his cheek, his eyes looked focused entirely on the scroll. Naruto took the wooden kunai and put it in the middle of the seal. He channeled his chakra to his hand and completed the seal. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw that the kunai had successfully been sealed. A smile spread through his face, and he raised his fist in the air. I did it, Datebao, Naruto shouted. He was able to seal a shuriken as well. He only needed to seal a small sword and food to complete level I and pass to level 2. His Gigi was impressed and told him that was much harder than Naruto was making it to be. The ANBU that had helped Naruto told him he could try to stick a leaf on his forehead to train his chakra control. The ANBU had gone on a mission, and Naruto didn't have anyone to help him with chakra control, so he decided to just read about his clan first and train his Fuinjutsu. His mind then returned to what his father told him about the jutsus he had left for him, including Hiroshin and other jutsus. Naruto hoped he had left Uzumaki jutsus as well. Gigi told him he would bring the techniques to him soon. Naruto wanted to know how Hiroshin worked. He found it fascinating. He hoped there were Uzumaki jutsus as well, and he hoped his mother knew any. Naruto put that thought at the back of his head and decided to eat. He slowly stood up from his bed and went to the kitchen. It had enough for him to cook unless I burn the house trying to cook, Naruto thought with a slight chuckle. The kitchen had a large table, different items to use, and a different set of knives. The book his Gigi gave him about cooking was lying on the table. He scratched his cheek softly and walked to the table. Naruto opened the book and started reading through different things he thought he would be able to cook. Later, Naruto sat eating his dinner at his dining table. The cooking book the Hokage had provided was invaluable, allowing him to cook food for himself. He made sure to follow the instructions in the book word for word, and the results were dangerous. While cooking, his oil had almost caught on fire, and his soup had been in hot temperatures for longer than necessary, resulting in his soup tasting sour. After another dangerous try, he was able to cook something decent. He was eternally grateful for what the older man had done for him. Now that he thought about it, he figured that some instructors would be prone to discriminate against him when he entered the academy 2 years later. Perhaps this was the way of an older man looking out for him in his shinobi life, he thought. As he finished his food, Naruto couldn't help but feel the loneliness in the apartment. It was so quiet that even the drops of water from the sink could be heard. Naruto thought of going outside, but the last time he did, he was attacked. Gigi assured him that the guilty ones had been dealt with. Naruto couldn't feel a lie coming from his Gigi, so he trusted him. Naruto wondered if his friends would want to meet him again. A sudden knock was heard on the door, making Naruto escape his thoughts. His eyes went to the door, and he could feel that his Gigi was on the other side of the door. He stood up and walked to the door. He reached up the handle and opened the door. His Gigi was smiling at him, and he moved away to give him space. Naruto-kun, how are you doing? His Gigi asked, but Naruto just gave him a sad smile. The old Hokage understood and walked inside. Naruto closed the door, feeling 2 above the roof. Did you find them? Naruto asked, hoping his Gigi had found what his parents had left for him. He nodded his head, and from inside his cloak, he pulled out a red scroll. He slowly opened it to the table near the couch. He put his hand on the scroll, causing a poof and revealing more scrolls. Naruto smiled and quickly ran at the scrolls. He saw 2 letters, 6 scrolls, and a weird-looking kunai. His hands were slowly shaking when he grabbed the handle of the kunai. It had a yellow letter attached to the handle written to it. Naruto didn't need to be told to know whose kunai this was. His little hands shook as he looked at it. Is your father's kunai, Naruto? His Gigi whispered, but Naruto kept quiet. The silence took over the room as he just kept looking at it. After a few moments, he smiled and turned to look at his Gigi. I will learn Hiraishin, and I will become the Red Flash, Naruto promised with a fist on his heart. The old Hokage couldn't help but feel his heart filled with happiness. For a moment, he thought he saw Minato and Kushina standing behind Naruto with their hands on his shoulders and smiling proudly at their son. He smiled at the little Naruto and nodded his head. I have no doubt, my boy, he replied. Naruto slowly put the kunai back at the table, and his hand went to the first letter. He sighed and took all the courage he had to open it. He slowly opened it, almost afraid that he would ruin it. Dear Naruto. Oh, my sweet little child, how I wish that I were alive to see you grow into a fine young man like your father. I'm writing this letter in case something happens to us, and you're left alone. If you are reading this, it means that we are dead. We are so sorry for leaving you, baby. First things first, I love you with all my heart, Naruto. A mother never stops loving her child, even in death. Know that I am still watching over you, and another thing, don't you dare visit me unless you are 110 years old. I want you to live an entire and happy life and only die of old age. Second, if you decide to become a shinobi, remember the 3 vices of shinobi life. First is alcohol, be responsible about it, and don't become a drunk idiot. The second is money, use it responsibly and try not to waste it. If you want to waste it, better do it on your wife. The third are women, and as your mother, I absolutely forbid you to become a pervert and a womanizer. Respect women and also find a woman you love and want to spend your life with. Don't settle for anything less. One of the scrolls I left for you contains my sword, the Red Phoenix, if you ever decide to use kenjutsu. I hope my sword will help you. The second scroll contains various jutsus of my clan. Be careful how you use them, they're all A-rank jutsus or above, use them only with the permission of Jiraiya, your godfather, Tsunade your godmother, or the old Hokage Sarutobi. The second contains the ring with which your father proposed to me. Give it to the girl you believe will love you for the rest of your life. Once again, your father and I love you, no matter what. Remember that, Naruto. With love. Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto hugged the letter dearly, almost like his life depended on it, hot tears running down his cheek and falling on the floor. These were the only words he had from his mother. The person who loved him. How much Naruto would give to have her hear and call him Sochi. He felt a hand on his shoulder, and his Gigi gave him a sad smile. Naruto stopped and put the letter on the table. He then picked up the second letter, which he knew was his father's letter. Dear Naruto. If you are reading this letter, then it means that I'm no longer among the living. I desperately hope that your mother is with you, but if that is not the case, let me explain a few things to you. My name is Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. If you already know this, then you are probably in the academy. If not, it is good to read. Keep it up. If you did not know about my identity as your father before this letter, please don't be upset at Sandaime-sama. I left him specific instructions about my identity only if you were a Chunin or married. I made many enemies during the Third Great Shinobi War, especially from IWA. If people were to know about it, you would be a prime target for all my enemies. I want you to know that even if you are yet to be born, I love you with all my heart. It was the happiest day of my life when your mother announced that she was pregnant with you. Since I was an orphan, I don't have any special jutsu to give you. But what I have left, I hope you master them. The improved notes I made from scratch in my quest to learn and master Nidaime-sama's Hiraishin no Jutsu are in one of the scrolls I left for you. Also, I leave the Rasengan to you in hopes that you can complete it, something that I never could. It is in the second scroll. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan, and she was the loveliest and one of the most compassionate women I've ever met in my life. She is perhaps the only one who loves you more than I do. When you find love, make sure she's a clever, funny, beautiful smile, gives advice when you need it, doesn't leave you alone, and is a little hot-headed. With all the love in the world. Dad. Naruto felt a loss of words. His parents truly loved him with everything they had. He thought as his parents were talking to him. He hugged both of his letters. The silence took over the room as Naruto was quiet. He slowly gathered both letters together and went to his bedroom. Naruto hid them away and returned to his room. His Gigi had stood up and had walked to the door. I will leave you alone, Naruto. I understand you will need some time with yourself, he said with a sad tone and opened the door and left. Naruto said nothing and just returned to the table where the scrolls were. There were 6 scrolls, 2 yellow ones and 4 red scrolls. He grabbed the first yellow scroll. He opened it to find text and the name at the top of the scroll. A rank Rasengan. He read through the scroll but understood this was still very complicated for him. Naruto smiled, knowing his father had left his jutsu to him. He closed it and grabbed the second yellow scroll. S rank Hiraishin. Naruto read through the scroll, and for this one, he would need to know at least level 8 of Fuinjutsu. He was happy that he wanted to learn Fuinjutsu anyway, and this gave him one more reason to learn it. Naruto closed the second scroll and opened the first red scroll. Inside it was a seal, and Naruto was sure it was his mother's sword. He opened the seal, and a sword showed up. The blade was long, the size of Naruto. The pommel of the blade was red decorated with what looked like the wings of a bird. The scabbard was dark in color decorated with thin red lines making it look like wings. At the top of the scabbard was the symbol of the phoenix. Naruto slowly grabbed the pommel. The material used made it feel soft on his touch. Much to Naruto's surprise, the sword wasn't heavy. He opened it a bit to see the metal, and it looked as sharp as the day it was forged. His reflection was on the blade, but Naruto could see tiny marks on the sword. He closed it and put the sword back to the scroll. I will become a master of Kenjutsu just like Yukawa-chan, Naruto thought, and opened the second scroll. High A rank fire style, Phoenix, S rank if used with Hokage level of chakra. Naruto found the jutsu very dangerous, and he wondered if he had a fire affinity to use it. S rank Uzumaki style, rainforest. Cost, 10 years lifespan. Effect, absorbs the chakra of anyone who's hit by the rain, and will result in death if combined with pressure release. Naruto's eyes widened at the cost of the jutsu, and he could tell this one was dangerous. But was dangerous for the user as well. And the last scroll had danger written all over it. Naruto could feel this was not to be messed with. He slowly opened it, only for his jaw to reach the floor. SS rank Uzumaki style, water of life. Cost, medium bijou level of chakra, and high chances of death. Effect, absorbs the water and chakra of everything around the user, including living things in diameter of 1 kilometer to 10 kilometers. The water and chakra gathered can be used to attack the enemy for further damage. Needed, high water affinity and high earth affinity, and sage chakra. He wondered who could use a jutsu as destructive as this one. He knew someone must have created and used it. Naruto understood no one except his Jiji and Tojiji should see these scrolls. He took the scrolls and sealed all of them in the first scroll. He took the scroll and hid it away. Naruto smiled and returned to Fuinjutsu learning. He would do his parents proud. He would bring back the Uzumaki clan. First previous CH12 of 64 next review. Share, email. Facebook. Twitter. Story. Follow favorite. Author. Follow favorite. Contrast, dark. Light font, small. Medium. Large. XL. Twitter. Help. Sign up. Cookies. Privacy. Terms of service.
Crap, guys, I let it run over. I didn't even notice. I'm sorry. I wonder how much it ran over. I'm sorry. I think I might have left it sitting for a few minutes.